Okay, let's look at question number 16. So this is the start of the microeconomics part in the DSE 2021 question paper. So if you want to have a view at the other solutions, please go through the other videos in this playlist and you can find the other solutions also. Now DSE 2021. Okay, so this is DSE 2021 question number 16. DSE 2021 paper. So question 16 asks us which of the following statements is true. So any preference can be represented by a utility function. That is not true. One clear example is lexicographic. Okay, so lexicographic preferences we all know cannot be represented, so this is false. Any complete and transitive preference can be represented by utility function. So in order for a preference to be represented by a utility function, it needs to obey three properties. One is completeness, second is transitivity, and the third is continuity. So if you have not read about or seen anything regarding this, so please click the link above in this video and you can see the microeconomics chapter 1 in my lecture series. To know more about this and do all the problem sets, you can definitely download the mobile application. Link is given in the description. Now coming back to this problem, these are the three properties that any preference needs to obey in order to be represented as a utility function. So complete and transitive preference nahi. Some complete and transitive preferences cannot be represented by utility function. Now this is something which is correct, and as told you, lexicographic preferences are an example of this class of preferences. And finally, any complete and monotonic preference can be represented by a utility function. Again, false. You need the preference to obey these three properties, only then it can be represented as a utility function. Okay, now let's move to question number 17. So Miss A likes grapes and strawberries, and it has been given that she likes to consume them in certain particular fraction. So you can write the utility function as, so this is a case of perfect complements. So utility function is basically min of amount of grapes divided by 2 and strawberries divided by 3, because 2 pieces of grapes with 3 pieces of strawberries. So again, if you don't know how to convert such statements into utility functions, you can again watch the microeconomics lecture 1 videos by clicking the link above. So utility equals to min of g by 2 comma s by 3, which you can multiply by 6 overall to get basically min of 3g comma 2s. Okay, or g comma 2 by 3s. Okay, all right. Now what is given to me is price of grapes and price of strawberries. So okay, this is min. Now what I have is price of grapes is equal to 3, price of strawberries is equal to 2. Okay, so पहले क्या है, time period 0. So what happens in time period t naught? So in time period t naught, you will have grapes equals to 2 by 3 strawberries, right? And 3g plus 2s must be equal to income. So this is your budget constraint. Okay, so this is what you get by equating these two parts. Okay, because it's a main function, limited function, these two parameters must be equal, and this is basically your budget constraint. Okay, so now this is sorted. So this basically implies that your amount of grapes must be equal to I by 6, which is also incidentally equal to your utility, because the way we have specified this function, utility is equal to the amount of grapes. So once you solve this two system of equations, you get this result. Now later on what happens is, in time period 1 is that your utility function remains the same. Okay, so g is equals to still 2 by 3s, but your prices have changed. Okay, so your price of strawberry has gone from 2 to 3, right? So what you now have is that your budget constraint is 3g plus 3s is equals to I. So now when you solve this system of equation, right, so what you get is that the amount of grapes, which happens to be equal to amount of utility, becomes I upon 7.5. Okay, I by 7.5. ना कितना उसको एक चेंज इन इनकम मिलना चाहिए so that these two values become equal. So suppose you put him at your final income I prime is equals to I plus delta I, such that I prime by 7.5 is equals to I by 6. ठीक है, so then what is going to be this delta I? So I prime by 7.5, so you can just multiply on both sides. So 6 times of नीचे लिख देते हैं, so 6 times of, so cross multiply करके just substitute this value of I prime here and then cross multiply. So 6 times of I plus delta I is equals to 7.5 times of I. So this basically implies that your delta I is equals to 1.5 I divided by 6, which is basically I by 4. So that becomes your change in income which is required. So that's your final answer. Okay. Now let's move to question number 18th. So suppose the commodity prices are strictly positive. Consider the following utility functions. One of these utility functions has no income effect on good X for a certain range of income. So इस टाइप का क्वेश्चन घुमा फिरा के बहुत बार पूछ रखा है. So in this case obviously the correct answer is the utility function which is log X plus Y, because this is the only one in which you have quasi-linear preferences. So quasi-linear preferences हैं ये. So in this case, if you don't know about quasi-linear, again you can click above and go to the microeconomics lecture series. So I have discussed this in the initial lectures itself, what are quasi-linear preferences and how it works. So in this case what happens is that X is the necessity good. एक limit तक you will purchase only X. So इसका अगर हम MRS निकालेंगे, so MRS will be 1 by X, which is equals to Px upon Py, which implies X star must be equal to the optimum amount of good X that you consume must be equal to Py upon Px. So that is your optimum amount of good X. So if you are able to purchase this much amount of good X, उसके बाद any additional income you would only spend on good Y, you will not spend it on good X. So that's your correct answer. Okay. Now question number 19, ये थोड़ा पब्लिक गुड्स वाले सेक्शन से आया है. सो रॉस्का इज़ अ सिचुएशन वेयर लेट्स से 6 of us, 6 लोग हैं मिलके दे फॉर्म अ पूल एंड दे से कि हर महीने हर कोई 1000 रुपीज़ इकट्ठा करेगा एंड वन ऑफ दीज पीपल विल पिक दैट मनी अप. नाउ व्हेन यू पिक दैट मनी अप यू बेसिकली बिड फॉर इट. सो हाउ इट वर्क्स इज कि 6 लोगों ने मिलके 1000 रुपये दिए. सो यू हैव अ पूल ऑफ 6000 bucks. So one of you will say कि ठीक है, I'll take this 6000, in return I'll give you 500 rupees. So he'll actually only take 5500 and pay everybody 100 rupees each. Somebody else will come and bid, okay, no, I'll break 750 rupees out of it. So what he'll be saying is कि all 5 of you, I'll pay you 750 divided by 5. So that's 150 rupees, right? So I'll pay each one of you 150 rupees. So इस तरह से बिडिंग होती है इसके अंदर. सो द आइडिया इज द पर्सन हु नीड्स इट द मोस्ट इज गोइंग टू टेक दैट मनी, राइट. सो दैट इज हाउ इट हैपन्स इन रियलिटी. सो उतना ज़्यादा डिटेल में यहाँ पे नहीं दिया है ऑब्वियसली. तो ये पॉट जो है, द ओनली थिंग इज कि इन वन साइकिल ईच मेंबर मस्ट विदड्रॉ द पॉट एग्जैक्टली वंस. सो अगर कोई भी बिड नहीं कर रहा है देन ऑब्वियसली वन ऑफ देम विल से ठीक है मैं 6000 रुपीज़ 6000 में ले लेता हूँ. सो दैट इज़ द without breaking anything, no profit, no loss. But ultimately, everybody takes it for at some bids for it, at least 10%, 1%, whatever. So what is this a case of? So here this is the case of risk sharing, in the sense ki all six of them, the likelihood that all six of them would require the money at the same point of time is not that high. The likelihood of that is low. So they are sharing this risk कि हो सकता है कि जनवरी में तुम्हें ज़रूरत है, फरवरी में मुझे ज़रूरत पड़ जाए. So that is risk sharing which is happening here. The similar concept which happens in banks on a larger scale. So this is the case of risk sharing. Now let's come to question number 20. Question number 20 according to me is the best question in this year's paper, 2021 paper. Okay. So because of two things, it makes great economic sense. The math is really nice to work out, and thirdly and most importantly, it was relevant to the time period that we are living in. So for all these three reasons, this was one of the best questions I have found in this year paper. So what's happening here is there are two agents, rich and poor. Obviously RNP लिखा है, you can call them rich and poor. So rich जो है वो good state में, so there are two states in the world, the good state and the bad state. So the good state is the normal state, the bad state is the pandemic stage. So so the rich person in good state, so there are two people, rich and poor. In if the state is pandemic, rich earns 10, poor earns 5. Okay, so rich earns 10, poor earns 5. In normal state, rich earns 20, poor earns 10. So 20 and 10. Okay. Utility functions are given by u of x, and so there's an insurance company which is selling an actually fair pandemic insurance where the consumer has the same income irrespective of the state. Actually fair plans are those insurance plans where insurance company makes no profit, no loss. Okay. Consider the following schemes to protect the poor person in case of pandemic. Scheme A, the government purchases the pandemic insurance for P. Premium for the pandemic insurance is collected from tax. Okay. So if the government picks scheme A, then what are going to be the payoff matrices? So rich है, poor है, normal state है, and pandemic state है. Okay. So let's find out the payoffs for both of these people. So scheme A में the government is taxing the rich. So irrespective of what state he is in, he has to pay a tax. So 20 minus T and 10 minus T. And the poor person is being given an actually fair insurance. So actually fair insurance का point is कि normal state में भी उसको जो salary जो income मिल रहा है normal state में 10 है. So जो whatever income this guy is earning, that is 10 rupees. So the same will he'll continue to gain in the second period as well. Okay, so 10 rupees here and 10 rupees here. Okay, so that is scheme A. Now what's happening in scheme B? Scheme B में the state is pandemic, then R pays R pays 5 to P through charity. So scheme B में again same चीज है, rich है, poor है, normal state है, pandemic stage है. So in normal state nothing, 20, 10 same. In pandemic state, the rich who's himself earning 10 rupees has to pay 5 rupees to the poor. So he ends up with just 5 rupees, whereas the poor's salary is constant. So the idea is that the poor person should have a salary equal to the normal state in both the schemes. So the idea is either you have a tax run insurance program or you have a charity which happens only if pandemic hits. So now what will the rich prefer out of these two things? Okay. So first of all, we have to find out what this T is going to be. सबसे पहले मुझे ये tax value निकालनी है कि tax value क्या होगी. Okay. So for that, let's look at the profit of the insurance firm. Profit of the insurance firm is it gains and so अगर scheme A लागू हो गई, if scheme A is the one under active is active, then profit of the insurance firm is going to be 20, sorry, T is the revenue minus with probability Q. By the way, the probability of pandemic hitting is always given to be Q. So the normal state's probability automatically becomes 1 minus Q. Okay. So with Q probability, it has to pay out 5 rupees to the poor person. Right. So in this scheme B, the poor person gets 5 rupees from the insurance. So this must be equal because it is given that the insurance pump company is risk neutral, that is it runs on no profit no loss situation, which implies that the tax amount is equal to 5Q. Okay. Now यहाँ पर कई लोगों ने एक गलती करी होगी कि instead of using the utility function which is given here, they calculate the expected profit. So यहाँ पे जो mistake करी होगी लोगों ने उसकी मैं बात कर लेता हूँ. So first of all, let's talk about expected payoff or profit बोल देते हैं, expected profit of the rich guy in case of scheme B. So scheme B के अंडर rich guy का expected payoff की अगर मैं बात करूँ, so with 1 minus Q probability, right, he ends up with 20 bucks. So with 1 minus Q probability, he ends up with 20 rupees, and with Q probability, he ends up with 5 rupees. So ये Q probability के साथ, ठीक है, he will end up with 5 rupees. Okay. So basically, his expected profit in this situation is going to be equal to so the expected profit in this situation is going to be equal to 20 minus 15Q, right? 20 minus 15Q. 20 minus 15Q. So that is the expected profit of the rich person in case of scheme B. Now expected profit of rich person in case of scheme A अगर मैं निकालूं, so that is going to be equal to, right, scheme A के अंडर 1 minus Q probability से he ends up with 20 minus T, right, plus Q probability say he ends up with 10 minus T. Okay, because he has to pay tax irrespective. अब यहाँ पे this becomes 20 into 1 minus Q plus 10Q minus T. So that is 20 minus 10Q, and since tax value is 5Q minus 5Q, right, so this becomes equal to 20 minus 15Q. Yes, 20 minus 15Q. So now if you compare, both these values are same, 20 minus 15Q and 20 minus 15Q. So the expected profit of the rich is same irrespective of the condition that he is living in. So यहाँ पे कई लोग ये option mark कर सकते थे कि R will be indifferent. Now if you look in terms of expected payoff or expected profit, it is the same for the rich person. But what is changing is not expected profit but expected utility. So let's talk about expected utility of the rich person in case of scheme B. So that is going to be equal to 1 minus Q times, ठीक है, utility of 20 plus Q times utility of 5. Right, utility of 5. And expected utility of the rich guy in case of scheme A is going to be equal to 1 minus Q times utility of 20 minus T plus Q times utility of sorry, q times utility of 10 minus t. Okay, so 10 minus t. So you can look at these tables here. You can look at these tables which I have given here. So q times utility of utility of 10 minus t. Okay. So obviously tax value is 5q. So tax value belongs to the range 0 से लेके 5. ठीक है, depending on what is the probability of q, it can lie between 0 से 5. So here, as you can see, 20 is greater than 20 minus t, whereas 10 minus t is greater than 5. So on a utility from wealth curve, this is utility and this is wealth curve, the points 5 and 20 are here. These are 5 and 20. Whereas 10 minus t and 20 minus t, they are both here. Alright. Now obviously it is better to have intermediate things. So the expected wealth is same. Now both these parts are very crucial here, that the expected wealth is same, but the wealth is less dispersed in case of taxation, that is in case of insurance. So when insurance is applicable, which is in case of policy A, in that case the wealth is less dispersed. So if I basically draw a huge graph here and show you कि उससे कितना impact पड़ेगा. So this is, let's say, your थोड़ा और concave बनाता हूँ इसको. This is your utility from wealth part. ठीक है, so ये मेरे scheme B के अंडर की चीज़ें हैं, scheme B. So this is 0.5, sorry, 5 units of wealth. This is 20 units of wealth. So when I connect them both, I reach this as the expected utility. So this is the So this is the expected utility in case of A. अब B की बात करते हैं. So B के केस में this is going to be your 10 minus t, sorry 20 minus t, and this is going to be your 10 minus 2t, sorry 10 minus t, and when I connect them, this is going to be the expected utility. So this is your expected utility from scheme B. So even though the midpoints are same, so if I take the midpoint of these two things, the midpoint of these two things and the midpoint of these two things is one and the same, right? Both the midpoints are same, so the expected wealth is same in both cases, but it is the expected utility which is higher in case of scheme B. So sorry, not scheme B, scheme A, sorry उल्टा लिख दिया मैंने, but you know, right, taxation वाली जो scheme है, that is better. So taxation वाली scheme को we are going to call better. So this is basically your scheme B and this is your scheme A. Okay. So the taxation scheme is better, which is your scheme A. So that's why scheme A will be preferred by. Alright, so you know this is a brilliant question because you have to first establish that expected wealth is same in both cases, and you cannot stop there. You have to move to expected utility as well. Alright, thanks for watching this video. For more videos, keep subscribed, and if you want free tests and courses, then do install our application. The link is given in the description of this video.